This is CGTN, China Global Television Network.
Italy quarantines 16 million people over coronavirus fears. The number of cases testing positive for COVID-19 in Egypt shoots to 48. And on International Women's Day, African women battle for equality. Hello and a warm welcome to Africa Live on CGTN. I'm Lindy Mtongana in Nairobi. Also coming up this half hour. Ghana uses local cuisine to market culinary tourism in the country.
Workers on board that cruise, so expectations are more COVID-19 cases could be reported in the coming days. Adel Mahroui, CGTN, Cairo.
Meanwhile, Uganda has temporarily suspended all international conferences slated to take place in the country in a bid to keep COVID-19 out. And the Ministry of Health has imposed tough restrictions on people flying into the country from areas affected by the coronavirus. CGTN's Michael Balege has more.
Uganda maintains an open-door policy, but the Ministry of Health argues that a temporary ban on all international conferences will reduce the risk of importing COVID-19.
This being a new virus, there is no immunity in the population, so the majority of the population are vulnerable. Number two, the international events will bring people from many of the already affected countries. Number three, it is challenging, if not impossible, to avoid crowding and congestion during such large meetings.
There are currently no confirmed cases of COVID-19 in Uganda, and the country has banned all non-essential travelers from the affected countries of Europe and Asia. These measures also affect Ugandan nationals returning home.
We don't want COVID. We have to remain on alert. We have to be vigilant. It is not cheap handling an outbreak.
Since the beginning of the year, Uganda has been screening all passengers entering through Entebbe International Airport and other border points around the country. All travelers arriving from countries with confirmed cases of COVID-19 are required to self-quarantine for 14 days. The UN World Health Organization says efforts to contain the disease are ongoing, but the spread of false rumors about COVID-19 are hampering efforts and causing unnecessary anxiety among the population. The WHO says millions of dollars are being wasted trying to fight wrong information, some of which is life-threatening.
This information, some of them are really wrong and could lead into people dying. Like telling people if they take this drug or that drug, they will get better. So that means they are not going to go to the health facilities and get the supportive treatments they might need.
While there remains no confirmed COVID-19 cases, the Ugandan Ministry of Health says the country remains at high risk due to trade, travel and social linkages with the affected countries. Mike Kobalekesi, GTN, Kampala, Uganda.
Now, since the start of the coronavirus outbreak, misinformation leading to fear and discrimination has been circulating around the world. To help clear up some of those misconceptions, CGTN's Daniel Arap Moy sat down with a prominent virologist based in Kenya.
Doctor, thank you very much for having us. Dr. Masika, what is coronavirus or COVID-19?
COVID-19 is a disease that is caused by a new coronavirus. It affects the airways and the lungs, and in the worst cases it may cause difficulty in breathing and even death.
How does coronavirus manifest itself and what are the symptoms?
Coronavirus after exposure will present or will start to cause symptoms within 2 days to 14 days, but on average 5 days. And the symptoms that will begin to appear will be fever or an increased temperature in the body, tiredness, issues with breathing in severe cases, and for most people just a cough.
And how is coronavirus transmitted?
Coronavirus is transmitted through droplets. So when somebody who is infected sneezes or coughs, there are virus-laden droplets which can travel from that person to the persons near them, are the ones that cause this infection.
How does one therefore differentiate between coronavirus and a common cold or flu?
Coronavirus presents like many other viruses that cause the common cold or upper respiratory tract diseases. And for that reason, we may not be able to differentiate except for suspicion that this person has been exposed. Either they've traveled to a high-risk area or they've interacted with somebody who is infected. And secondly, by confirmation in a lab, a certified lab, that this is coronavirus.
And there has also been talk that coronavirus cases were as a result of eating raw meat or having contacts with animals. How true is this, doctor?
The virus seems to have originated from bats before they crossed over to humans. How they crossed over from the bat to humans is not clear. It's unlikely that when somebody cooks meat, they will be infected with the virus because the virus will be destroyed. But somebody who handles bats or somebody who handles other animals may have been exposed.
Some people have argued that Africans seem to be immune to this virus. How factual is this?
There have been very few cases in Africa. So exposure has been minimal, that many people have not been exposed to this coronavirus, and hence we cannot say they're protected because they've not been challenged with the virus. We've seen a lot of people now associating people of Chinese extraction, for example, with this disease. Yet we know it's a global disease. We know that right now, in fact, the 10 or so cases, 10, 12 cases in Africa, none of them have been associated with China. Most of these people have traveled to Europe or the Middle East. So we should avoid racial profiling. We should avoid thinking that we are very far from the rest of the world, because this is a global problem. We should handle it together in solidarity as human beings.
The number of coronavirus cases in China appears to be stabilizing, with a record low of 46 new cases. 41 of those came from Hubei province, and for the third day in a row, all of those are in the city of Wuhan, where the outbreak began. China's total number of confirmed cases now stands at nearly 81,000. More than 70% of those have recovered. But the country is now reporting a rise in the number of imported cases, patients arriving in China who've been affected abroad. 3 more imported cases were reported, bringing the total to 63. Now, outside China, there are 26,000 cases in more than 100 countries. There are nearly 300 new confirmed cases in South Korea, bringing its total to 7,300. 50 people have died there. Iran has seen 2,000 new cases, bringing its total to 6,500 patients. Its death toll is now close to 200. Italy is the hardest hit in Europe, with 233 people killed, including 36 deaths in one day. It has more than 5,800 confirmed cases. Italy has locked down most of its northern region, affecting some 16 million people. Well, staying with that story, indeed, some 16 million people in northern Italy woke to the news that they would be cut off from the rest of the country. This after authorities announced a lockdown to prevent the coronavirus from spreading. Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte ordered to limit movement in and out of the north, including Venice and the financial capital of Milan, until April 3rd. The decree came shortly after Italy reported over 1,200 new cases in a single day, bringing its total to almost 6,000. The Prime Minister also ordered the closure of all museums, gyms and cultural centres nationwide. Italy's Sports Minister Vincenzo Spadafora asked the National Football Association to consider suspending its top division Serie A matches. He said that putting players, referees and fans at risk makes no sense. On Sunday, the World Health Organization praised Italy's bold steps to slow the spread of the coronavirus. Meanwhile, residents in the capital, Rome, have expressed their support for the lockdown.
I surely agree. This virus needs to be limited because the epidemic is spreading too quickly. So in my opinion, these measures are correct. I surely agree, even if it will create some difficulties for us because social life has changed a lot.
I do agree because it's necessary for the containment, let's hope, but it's correct to respect it.
The only way is for everybody to stay home for 15 days. We still don't know, so that the healthcare system can contain and solve this emergency, avoiding other cases, to keep everything working.
Well, time now for a short break. Here's what's still ahead on Africa Live. Coming up, more than 100 migrants are found stranded at sea trying to make their way to Spain. And on International Women's Day, African women battle for equality.
CGTN Europe.
Over 100 migrants have been rescued in the Mediterranean Sea as they tried to make the crossing from Morocco to Spain. The Spanish Rescue Service found 2 boats stranded near Malaga. Among the passengers were a pregnant woman and 2 children. The Spanish Red Cross provided first aid, then sent them to a makeshift emergency center for further examination. Spanish authorities say sea arrivals of illegal migrants have decreased by nearly a third compared to this time last year. But daily crossings continue, with hundreds risking their lives. Now, today marks International Women's Day, celebrating women's achievements and progress throughout the world. In South Sudan, the formation of a government after 6 years of civil war is bringing hope to many women in the country. One of the most successful female politicians is the Secretary General of the country's ruling party. CGTN's Patrick Oyet spoke to her about some of the challenges that she's had to overcome as a woman in politics.
There is no leadership position that goes without any challenge. Of course, especially for us in South Sudan or Africa in general, our systems, our communities are highly patriarchal. and there are always these attitudes towards women's leaders or towards the role of women in society, and the stereotypes about women, and the cultural attitudes, the culture or some of our cultures that do not promote women. So in all these assignments that I've held since 2005 up to now, of course, some of the challenges I have faced is, well, the general attitude that, you know, even if you are a leader, some people, especially our male counterpart, would always want to undermine your work. But that is a challenge that one can also use as an opportunity, you know, to show, because that makes it makes one to be more assertive and do more, perform, so that you can counter this negative attitude.
How far have women moved in as far as getting gender equality now?
Looking back into our history, in the past, women didn't used to have big number of women participating in leadership. But given the history of our liberation struggle, where we participated equally with men in all the war efforts, providing a lot of services during the liberation struggle. So women also participated in the compact itself. And we have women officers who are in the army, in the police, in the wildlife, and all the security sector. We were able to achieve the 25% due to our efforts and demand. That now that the war is over, you have seen how we participated. We took roles that were not ours before, during the struggle. When the men were fighting, the women took over the male roles, being breadwinner and taking care of children, which is the traditional role of women. But women did more than their traditional roles. So now, coming to government, there was no way men could tell us that now it is time for you to go back, you know, home, and then we take over our traditional roles. So we found that the issue of roles are just stereotypes, you know, that women cannot do this. But in real fact, women can do anything that men can do as far as leadership is concerned. So we were able to get a 25%, and then we got more than that in Parliament, as I said before. And we have now moved from 25 to 35, and that is the policy of the SPLM, which was translated into the Constitution in the first place, in the first Constitution, and now translated into the peace agreement that has been signed. So in the coming government, you are going to see more women.
What more needs to be done to ensure that women achieve political, social, and economic equality?
They have to be active in politics, because when it comes to distribution of political seats, it only goes to those who are participating. Women are intimidated a lot of times. They are discouraged, they are called names, they are abused. For example, if you are a public figure, they attribute a lot of negative things to the women. This is just made in order to discourage women. So I just want to encourage the women that let them be courageous as usual and demand and occupy their space.
Let's go to Ghana now, where a food festival is on the way to becoming a major tourist attraction. Foodies flocked to the Akenke Festival in Accra to savor a local delicacy made with milled corn. CGTN's Nabil Ahmad Rufai brings us more.
A taste of Ghanaian cuisine. Hundreds of food lovers are celebrating one of Ghana's popular foods at the Akenke Festival in Accra.
Akenke is one of the best and most nutritious dishes in the world, and when you add it to the shrimp and the fish and the lovely pepper, it's great. It's lovely.
Any amount you have, you can afford KK, eat it, and then get satisfied. Personally, I love KK because it is a childhood food.
Kenke is made with milled corn and usually eaten with pepper and fish. Originally a delicacy in Accra, it is now widely sold and eaten all over the country. Ghana has a variety of cuisines, but has yet to explore the idea of food tourism, which is why a group of young professionals started the Kinky Festival 4 years ago.
In other parts of the world, in other jurisdictions, food tourism is a big deal. So it is a fine opportunity for us as a people to also use food tourism to attract the world to come to Ghana. If you take a look around, you realize that there are foreigners around who are enjoying kinky, the way they touch it, the way they squeeze it. You realize that it's something new to them. It's a whole new experience to them.
The idea to explore food tourism in Ghana while giving many food lovers the chance to satisfy their palates is also serving as a platform for some to make new friends.
The Kinky Festival has grown into an event that continues to make impact in the social habits of many foodies. Organizers say it has the potential to become a major tourist attraction in the country.
For vendors here, it's a fine platform to maximize profits.
I've been here for 2 times, that is 2 consecutive years, last year and this year. It's been great. Business is fine, it's not been easy, but I know people are coming.
Kinky may be a long shot from going global, but with the Kinky Festival, organizers hope to continue bringing people from different backgrounds to explore good food. Nabil Ahmed Rufai, CGTN, Accra, Ghana.
Well, let's take a short break. Your sports news up next. Coming up, South African fencer Nomvula Mbata eyeing a ticket to the 2020 Tokyo Olympics.
How would you create your legend? On the fields, on the tracks, in the arenas of Africa. Were you born to be a player? Could this moment be yours? Sports Scene. Find your game.
Let's begin in Kenya. Nairobi played host to the 5th edition of the Beyond Zero Marathon that attracts thousands of participants. Launched by Kenya's First Lady, the annual event aims to raise awareness and funds for a campaign of the same name. The Beyond Zero initiative aims to improve maternal and child health and reduce new HIV infections among children. Vincent Kipchumba and Lydia Njeri were crowned champions of this year's event. Kipchumba took the victory after 1 hour, 1 minute and 52 seconds. Njeri took victory in 1 hour, 12 minutes and 3 seconds. Kenya's President Uhuru Kenyatta took part in the 2-kilometer run.
It's more about being healthy. In fact, we are being told that the healthier you are, the less that corona can affect you. So I think it's a good idea to come turn up, support such a good cause, and at the same time be healthy yourself. Corona, for us, we've not had any cases, so I guess we could come and support a good cause.
First of all, when coming here, coronavirus was my main fear. But I've made it. And even being with people, they're a bit afraid. But for us, what brought us here is the race.
Egyptian Ezzaldine Bahadar is on the verge of entering the record books as the oldest professional soccer player